Okay, so I made a bit of a mistake. So this is the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So you can actually play this game on almost on high settings. There was a couple of maps for some reason that they stutter, but actually you could play this game almost on the high settings. So yeah, that was my mistake. And actually the RAM is going almost 14 gigs, and the VRAM of course is maxing out on 6 gigs. So yeah. Okay, so these are the settings, and I want to have another chance for Watch Dogs Legion, but this time on high settings. So you can play Watch Dogs Legion on high settings on GTX 1060, but you cannot actually max out the settings because the GTX 1060 lack a little bit of a juice for that. So maybe the next card will handle Watch Dogs. But yeah, the game looks pretty good because on the minimum settings the game looks pretty terrible. So yeah, but yeah, on the high settings VRAM is maxing out, and yeah, and the CPU is actually pretty high, almost 80%. Okay, so these are the settings, and this is Resident Evil 4 remake. So yeah, this time on GTX 1060, and you can actually play it almost on high settings. Of course, depend on the map, but on some settings on mid, on medium, some settings on high. So of course, all the unnecessary stuff like shadows, like yeah, you need to turn off, but like a detail and all the good stuff you can pump it up on high, and yeah, so yeah, and you can play it almost on high, well, on high textures, like texture quality, texture filtering, so you can run it on high settings. Okay, so let's enjoy a little bit of a gameplay. Okay, so these are the settings, and this is the Cyberpunk 2077 from 2020. Yeah, it is a little bit older title, but I actually delayed this kind of game review because I thought that it will be pretty demanding. So I waited for the 1060. So yeah, and I think this game is best to play at least on the minimum settings with the 1060. So yeah, you can play this game on the medium settings. You can try it on high textures because we have a little bit of a room with the VRAM, but 1% and 0% lows are quite low, so I really don't want it to touch anything. And I actually really didn't like the original setting of the game, so I put one mod. I think it's called a Nova Flux. It just changes the the visuals completely changes. So, but it doesn't take actually any resources. So if you are playing with this or without mod, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, and yeah, this is Cyberpunk 2077 from 2020. So let's enjoy the gameplay. Okay, so this is a game called Plague Tale Requiem, and it is from 2022. These are the settings. I actually tried this game only on the minimum setting because in some areas it just started to stutter even on the minimum settings. So of course it depends on the map, but in some areas it can be a little bit better, in some areas be a little bit worse, but yeah, it is best to play it on minimum settings. Of course it is that kind of game that you don't really need 60 FPS, you can play it on 30, but 0.1% lows are actually pretty low. So yeah, and you need to understand that this is on the minimum settings, and in some areas it drops below 20. So if you raise the settings, the 0.1% loss can drop even lower. So yeah. Also, this game is actually quite demanding on the CPU. It reaches all 80%. It just, yeah. Yeah, 77, yeah. It was 80% on the CPU. So I actually understand that this CPU is quite old. So when I change the card, maybe I will need to think about a new processor. And yeah, so yeah, the RAM is actually, though I don't have a problem with the RAM. I think 16 gigabytes is actually enough. Okay, so this is another game. It is Last of Us Part 1. It is released in 2022, and this is, yeah, the settings are actually minimum settings, because this is the first game where we can see the stuttering even on the minimum settings. You will see actually the real slowdown of a game, even on the minimum settings. So yeah.
I was alone, falling free, trying my best not to forget what happened to us, what happened to me, what happened as I let it slip. I was confused by the powers that be, forgetting names and faces. Passers-by were looking at me as if they could erase it. Baby, did you forget to take your meds? Baby, did you forget to take your meds?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know if you were able to spot it, but when the 0.1% and 1% drops below 20, the game starts to stutter. So, yeah. Yeah, the game is clearly struggles and the action don't even started yet. Okay, so now we are getting into the more latest titles. And this is the Alan Wake 2 from 2023. And yeah, this is the minimum settings. The FSR will be turned off because I really don't like it. So yeah, I'm just testing it without frame generation, no FSR, just raw performance, and GTX 1060 clearly struggles. I know that other YouTubers actually tested this game on 1060, and in some other areas you can actually play this game, especially if you like the FSR. But for me, it's actually a big no-no. So we will try to change the cards to something a little bit more better. I think in 2023, 2024 you need at least 8 gigs of the VRAM to actually play the latest titles. Yeah.
I was alone, falling free, trying my best not to forget what happened to us, what happened to me, what happened as I